What's up, this is Chosen, and this video is gonna be something I'm excited about because this definitely helped out my account because I did not have an S tier nightmare campaign farmer, and it turns out Hurndig is actually very good at that role. So in this video, I'm gonna go over showing you how it works and the build that I did for Hurndig to accomplish this. Plus, I've got an infographic that will walk you through the optimal sets and then the stats you're gonna want to aim for if you want Hurndig to be able to farm nightmare efficiently to get the best XP per energy that you can get in the game. So let's get into it. Alrighty, and yeah, like I said, I was using Trunda as my nightmare campaign farmer before, and what I was doing was I was just using her arena gear. So this is your typical savage set nuke Trunda that I've got optimized for the arena with the low accuracy to make sure she hits twice, with the forge rhythm, and then taking advantage of the savage set and high attack, all the good stuff that you're familiar with. Now, I could just plug and play that arena build right here into the nightmare campaign farming and she would do just fine, 100% win rate and all that. But the problem is she does it in about 30 to 35 seconds typically, so it wouldn't be like a fast nightmare campaign farmer. There's some really good nightmare campaign farmers. It's gonna be like Biggin, Ethos, Hegemon's really good at it. There's a few different ones that can be very efficient and do nightmare campaign in under 25 seconds. Ignatius is good, but he's similar to Trunda, somewhere in like that 30 to 40 second window. And then there's lots of champions that can do it slower, but like I didn't have one of the most GG champions, so I just used my Trunda plug and play arena build to get after it and get through the nightmare campaign when I wanted to do so. But also, the thing is, nightmare campaign isn't always the optimal place for you to farm. If you are low on silver, for example, you should probably farm 12-3 brutal because it is your best silver per energy while you're farming XP, and the XP trade-off between nightmare and brutal is not really significant enough to make up for the loss of silver unless you've got a lot of silver. Once you get up to like 50 million or 100 million silver and you're very end game, you've been playing for a while, then it can make sense in certain scenarios to go after the nightmare campaign to go ahead and take advantage of the boost to your XP per energy because it's worth a little bit of the sacrifice on the silver. But I just want to make sure you know that if you're new to raid or if you're new to my channel and you haven't heard me say that before, it is way better to farm 12-3 brutal if you are low on silver. But okay, let's go ahead and swap in Hurndig and I will show you the difference. So the Trunda there was about, usually 30 to 40 seconds, somewhere in there. But now we've got Hurndig after the fusion event. And now there's a little bit of RNG on his actual times until you get the gear really optimized. And I'll show you the stats breakdown of like the goals of the different, like the breakdown of what you're going to be looking for when you're doing this build. And I'll show you my build, but just wanted to show you it in action and how the build kind of functions here before we get into all that, so at least you get to see it in action. But yeah, right there is a 21-second run. So his good runs will be like 18 or 19. The average ones will be like 21 to 24. And then if he gets bad RNG, like the lower end of his damage spectrums, at least with my build, he'll be up around 30 seconds or so. So now let's go ahead and pull up the Hurndig that I've got built, and let's dive into how I went about this. Alright, so here we are on the Hurndig I've got built on my account for the Nightmare Campaign Farmer. And you can see here the sets went with the speed and the cruel. You could build a slower version of this and then go with like attack percent boots and try to make it hit super hard. The problem is I think it's a little bit easier to make the higher speed version of it, where you get up around 210, 220 speed, so you can make sure you're getting 2 turns in before some of those waves. It makes the build a lot more consistent and a lot easier to get the different thresholds that you're looking for when you're putting the build together. But you know me, I do have an infographic ready for you right here, and I'm doing a lot of work right now on the website, choflyelite.com. There's a lot of changes that are coming soon with the layout and everything, so I will get this stuff organized and laid out on there. But for now, I will put this down in a pinned comment, nice and easy to find. If you want to be able to save this or pull it up when you're doing your build, whatever, look at it. I tried to put the gear that I was wearing on the left there, and then the Masteries when you're putting it together, the optimal sets you're looking for. Cruel, obviously, attack and ignore defense is great. Speed and divine speed, we're looking for the higher speed version, make sure we're getting in more turns than the waves. And then savage would be an amazing set that as well. Savage is worth like 100 crit damage. It's a ton of damage. So if you do have really good Savage gear you want to dedicate to this build, it's going to be that much easier to hit the thresholds of getting everything down. And then Divine crit rate, anytime we can get like shields to go along with it, it's going to help our toughness in terms of surviving during the run. And then over on the right, you will see the stats breakdown of what you are looking for. Now, you can obviously go above that if you get 2.7k defense, you know, whatever. If you get 5.3 attack, whatever. I tried to kind of fit the window on where it would make sense and be just kind of the thresholds that you need to make it happen. So just remember, if you're towards the bottom end of those thresholds, it may be a little bit tough. You may be like scratching it, like barely doing it. If you're towards the upper side of those thresholds, you're probably going to be very reliable and cranking out those 20-second runs that we're looking for when we build Hurndig as the farmer. And then I'll pull up the stats of my farmer and take me off the screen there so you can see exactly the breakdown on how my build compares to what you saw on the graphic, just in case you're curious on what it looks like. So it's actually not that crazy. I can actually put myself on there and just make it a little bit smaller here. All right, there we go. So yeah, it's really not that crazy in terms of a threshold for gearing, in my opinion. Like, it's pretty doable with Hurndig. So you can see there I'm at the 42, and then the attack I'm only at 4.7. I put 4.5 to 5.2, and I've actually got a lot of room to grow on this build. So if I put this down and then make the camera back to normal here, okay, so you can see I don't even have like a 6-star chest or 6-star boots or 6-star gloves. The bottom pieces are all 5-star gear, so there's a lot of room for me to grow this. It does take good gear, but not insane gear. I think it's going to be realistic for most endgame players to make their Hurndig into a Nightmare campaign farmer, but you do want to keep in mind I do have mine booked, which definitely helps. I don't have the extra 2 books here on the A1. I just went ahead and booked up the A2 and the A3 to get the damage and the cooldowns and all the stuff that comes from the cooldown abilities, because those are typically the most important books. And then I got some decent RNG, and I went ahead and saved a couple books on the A1. But if I did book that A1, it would definitely help him out. It would alleviate some of the RNG in the run. I would get less of those like 28-second runs, and I would be more around that 20-second mark more consistently if I did go ahead and spend the extra 2 books here on the A1. So if I'm using him a lot in the Nightmare campaign, which I probably will be because he's way faster than what I had, during the next clan versus clan, I will probably go ahead and just spend the 2 books to book that up. And then over on the Masteries, I did have those on the infographic right here that I will have down in that pinned comment if you want to pull it up. But then if you want this layout, I will pop this up here for a few seconds if you want to screenshot this or anything so that you have the Masteries nice and laid out in the normal layout. Now, one thing I do want to talk about is if I pop up the camera here and I can just move this over. So I do want to talk about the Helm Smasher Mastery just for a little bit. Now, if you're going for consistency, which is like if you've got a spider nuke strategy for 20 seconds or something with double cold hearts and stuff, I always said you want to go for the crit damage mastery instead of Helm Smasher because it's more consistent. You're going to get that proc every single time. So that same rule is going to apply here for a campaign farmer, but I also wanted to have the build be a little bit more generally useful. If I'm going to be using Hurndig in Faction Wars or any other area of the game, I'm going to want that Helm Smasher mastery because in the end game, Helm Smasher does outscale the crit damage mastery in my opinion, but it's not as consistent. So you're gonna have to weigh your options there on which tier 6 mastery you want. Both Helm Smasher and Flawless Execution can be good choices for the campaign farmer. So alrighty, that will do it for this one, and I hope this helped you if you are thinking about putting together a build for your Hurndig to help get you into Nightmare, or if you were just curious and wanting to stay up to date on some of the builds out there and what it takes to acquire them. I know for me, it was a big help for my account because it basically cut my Nightmare campaign farming literally in half. Instead of using my Arena Trunda that takes 35-40 seconds, now I'm doing it here with Hurndig, and it takes about 20 seconds or so, and it is definitely a massive help for me grinding Nightmare campaign to get some of that XP. So as always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.